So this is a clip just to talk about neutral pelvis, how to find it. And I'm starting standing, and then I'll also show you in lying down on all fours. So I'm going to turn onto my side. So my neutral pelvis is, and indeed my neutral spine as well, is there. I don't live in this position. I have a problem with tightness in my hips, and that tightness there tends to pull my pelvis into a tilt forward. But, so there again is the bony feet, the bony bits that you can feel in the pelvis are quite useful in this context. Knobbly bits, pubic bone, and the pubic bone and the knobbly bits come up like that. So there's a sense of openness at the front of the hips there, and these abdominal muscles will contract to shorten that gap, the rib to pelvis gap, and help to sustain the neutral pelvis and keep the back lengthened and less tight. So there's a forward tilt to neutral. What you often see with people, I'm not so good at demonstrating it, is a tendency to curve the whole lot back, and it displaces the ribs, and there's a little bit of curvature. I'm not sure how well you can see it on me, I'm not brilliant at demonstrating. Quite often I'm seeing this now in people who are chronically pulling their abs in so much that they've almost sort of created this position. But where it is a relatively, the pelvis is back, as opposed to neutral, as opposed to forward. And you can see my tendency to be forward. So forward, neutral, back. Now, not everybody can do that movement in standing, and if you're looking to practice neutral and oscillating between one position and another, it's easier to do in lying down or all fours. So I'll show you those. So in Pilates classes, one of the common ways to talk about neutral pelvis is from a lying down position. And you can really feel the pelvis and feel it moving in this position. And this is my neutral. So these knobbly bits up the front of my pelvis and my pubic bone are lined up. So the sort of out of neutral will be curving it up the pelvis, and of course therefore the lower back curving away from the floor, and then the opposite would be to curve my spine and my pelvis into the floor. So I'm moving around those ranges. So there's something about finding where neutral might be, that midpoint, but this is actually a useful thing just to mobilise the pelvis and the lower back. And the rest of the body might move a little bit, it's not that important, although you can of course isolate the movement in the pelvis. So the other way to consider your neutral is in all fours. So I'll just move. And the advantage of this, certainly for this clip, is that it's more obvious for you guys to see. So and you can sort of see the neutral spine as well as the pelvis more. So there's a curve in the neck, down, in the upper back, up, in the lower back, down, and then there's a curve in the sacrum, but it's not quite so obvious. So my neutral pelvis here is, I don't think it's as easy to feel in one's own body, but you can still do that movement, and sometimes it's that enables you to find neutral. You can think, okay, those are my extremes of range, so what's the midpoint? You could also, what I often do is, because I have a problem with it in this position, is I feel for the curve in my lumbar. I think, oh yes, there's the curve in the lumbar, I'm in neutral. And the other thing would be, again, aligning the bones underneath, but I think that's a less obvious way when you're in all fours.